All right, so the much anticipated Ghana versus Portugal is right here on us. And we are some 30 minutes away to the commencement of the game. Ghana have got scores to settle with Portugal, given the fact that they had to beat Ghana the last time out in Brazil, where they ended up as 2-0 victors. Today, Ghana can probably be the first nation in Qatar to snatch victory. So with me this afternoon is Kofi Asiri to my left, Lucky Smalls to my right, and then Adoko is seated next to me as we build up to the match awaited game between the Seleção of Portugal, who are playing as a homesters, and Ghana playing as guests. So good afternoon, guys.
Yeah, afternoon, Coffee Mesa. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, how optimistic are you? I mean, I'm picking your initial thought before we get into the specifics of the game.
Well, I am great. I am great. I think that we are all set to witness a very good game. A very good game. I'm not too optimistic about the chances of the Black Stars, but I am very optimistic that the least that the Black Stars should do is to compete and compete to the best of their abilities. That's what gets me too excited. And for me, it should be a great occasion.
It should be a great occasion, according to Kofi Asiedu. David, you saw the Black Stars team, beaming with all sort of confidence when they came out of their bus. I'm wondering as to whether that would translate onto the field of play.
Well, I think it starts from the mind and looking at how they walked into the stadium. They are very much confident. They are very much bold, and they look aside that could go on to do great things today at the Stadium 974. So for Ghanaians, all we can just do is be cross our fingers and be hopeful that today could be a good day. Remember, there's no African team that has scored at the tournament so far. No African team has got three maximum points, and this is the opportunity for Ghana to explain why they are the Black Stars. This is the opportunity for them to shine in the midst of adversity for Africa.
All right, so we see how that pans out. But it's Ghana versus Portugal. Remember, you've joined us live on Sports 101 here in Takrady, precisely at the Red Mango apartment and the hotel. Lucky, how prepared and optimistic are you ahead of the game?
Um, Personally, I have my own reservation about how this game will go, but I think that we are all, eagerly anticipating Ghana's biggest game so far at this year's World Cup. The players look ready. They have no other option. They need to look ready because I listened to Asamoah speak, and he said that no matter who you are, no matter the level of football you've played, listen, when it gets to this stage, there will be some nerves. And clearly, you could see that the nerves are there, but they need to, war off those nerves with a little drama and all. We've seen all of that, but everybody is pumped up for this game. Everybody is pumped up for this game.
All right, so the last time out in Brazil 2014, as I mentioned yesterday, not too much could separate both sides, except to say the brilliance or even like the imposing figure of Cristiano Ronaldo eventually, won the game for the Seleção of Portugal. Uh, he's not in the best of shapes prior to this game, but Kofi is always that man to look out for.
Well, obviously, his reputation goes before him. If you're talking about Ronaldo, arguably the greatest player of this contemporary times, he's seen it all. He's walked on the biggest of stages. He's conquered almost everything there is to conquer by the World Cup. And I think that, like we've said in the previous episodes, you look at this Portuguese team, it's almost built for Cristiano Ronaldo. Whatever they do, the outcome has to be getting the ball to Cristiano Ronaldo, letting him do what he's been able to do for 17 plus years as a top-notch professional. And for me, I think that Ronaldo is clubless at the moment. He doesn't have a club. Manchester United have sacked Cristiano Ronaldo from the club, but this is a guy who you cannot afford. I don't know why Lucky is so excited about the fact that Ronaldo is clubless and Manchester United have sacked
He's not
Ronaldo
being
from
sacked.
the. He's been sacked from the club, and this is a guy who you cannot gamble on when it comes to his ability to take chances in the box. He may be old, he may be a tad slower than he used to be, but he certainly knows his way to goal. And I think that the Ghana defense, it looks like a three-man defense. They need to be very, very much cautious all game about the prowess of Cristiano Ronaldo. They need to be very alert to the chances that he's afforded by the Portuguese team. And I think that we should be able to find very interesting duels in this particular game. Kofi.
All right, so these are the guys to represent Ghana against Portugal. So lucky there is Atizigi in post. Of course, he was always going to man the post for the Black Stars. Ali Risedo. He gets the nod ahead of Tariq Lamptey and Odoy. Interestingly, there's Baba Rahman, Amate, Jiku, Salisu, Salis, Pate Kurus, Andre Ayew, the captain, and then Iñaki Williams.
He's clearly gone for a very compact game, 5-4-1. He doesn't want to give anything to chance. This, on paper, this is how the Black Stars was set up when they do not have the ball. Lots of men behind the ball in midfield and in defense. But clearly, when they have the ball, expect that Seydou and Baba Rahman will join the midfield, and it will literally become a three-back, which has been Otuado's, tactical or preferred tactics in all the games that he's played. Either he's gone for the 3-5-2 or the 4-2-3-1, and this is new, the 5-4-1. But I think that he's listening, because Kofi, truth be told, we know how good the Portuguese are. The last thing you want to give away is give them the opportunity to play within spaces. We talk about Bernardo Silva. We talk about Bruno Fernandes. These are guys who love to exploit spaces. And clearly, he's trying to shut up shop, ensure that there's no space for the guys to operate. Was when we lose the ball, it automatically becomes a 5-4-1, very defensive-minded in approach. When we have the ball, to is a 3-5-2, which is also very defensive-minded, because if you set up this, obviously you're trying to tell your opponent that I will not give you the opportunity to play your football.
Yeah. But you look at the Black Star setup, and what really amazes me is the confidence to which Coach Otuado has made this selection. You look at the elements in defense. When we don't have the ball, we're expected to play with a five at the back. But when we are going forward, it's expected that we may metamorphose into a 3-4-1-2, where Kudus Mohammed and then Iñaki Williams would lead the line, with Andrea Ayew playing just as a pivot behind the two. And that is where the Black Stars could have a lot of joy, because Kudus Mohammed would definitely trouble the opponent with his movements. Iñaki has always been a mobile forward. But for Portugal, I think Fernando Santos read the game very well enough. He didn't play a Pepe in there because he knew he wouldn't have the legs. So he's gone for Danilo Pereira to provide a shield. He's sort of employing the same strategy Luis Enrique
So
did.
just so our viewers know,
Rodri.
so these are the guys also representing the Seleção of Portugal. So there's Diogo Costa, João Cancelo, Danilo Pereira of Paris Saint-Germain, Ruben Diaz, Rafael Guerreiro of Borussia Dortmund. There's Otavio, there's Ruben Neves, there's Bruno Fernandes, João Felix, Cristiano Ronaldo obviously leading the lines, and then there is Bernardo Silva.
Well, surprises there, because you would have expected that Rafael Leao, in the form that he is in, should have gotten a mention. But Fernando Santos himself is playing the wild card in the shape of Otavio. Ordinarily, we would have expected William Carvalho to do the job, but he's gone with Ruben Neves, with Otavio providing extra shield, just in case the Black Stars tend to go on the break. There's an extra leg in there, because Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Joao Felix. These are players who would want to surge forward with the ball. Defensively, they won't do too much. So you need extra legs. And that is why we have Otavio in there. That's why you have Ruben Neves in there. Now, Ruben Neves provides you the extra spice with being a player whose ability to pick a pass is excellent. He can defend very well. He can also send the ball at the other end. So it's a game of chess. Two managers who know very well enough that they don't want to give much away. And so that's the sort of selection we are seeing today. It should be an interesting game. Should the Black Stars get the first goal, I think it will turn the tie on its head.
All right, so Kofi, it looks a very defensive oriented, setup as put out there by Coach Otowados. Now I'm looking at how they are able to, break the Portuguese back line, and then I'm sure they are able to, put the ball at the back of the twine. So let's get into the specifics as to why he had to set up his team in a very compact midfield, a very solid back line, but then leaves Iñaki Williams up front alone. Maybe he's going to have support in an auxiliary striker in Kudus Mohammed, but I'm looking at how they are able to break down the Portuguese backline.
Well, I think that these are issues of transition. How quick are we in transition? That has to be the point. And if you look at the players who are starting for the Black Stars, I think that there's something quite remarkable about these players. These are players who have pace to burn. And for me, the fact that you leave Iñaki Williams up front means that when we are quickly on the attack, players have to be able to break through the midfield ranks and quickly join the attack. And I think that that's to be key for the Black Stars, how quick we are in transition. Because listen, David talks about the fact that Santos has been able to read the formation and has gone with quite a pacey defense. You understand? Because we're all expecting Pepe to play, but you look through the Portuguese back line, these are guys who also have a lot of pace. I mean, and are tactically aware in terms of their sense of positioning. So this should be an interesting tactical battle. I would want to gauge the first 15, 20 minutes, see how the game plays out, because on paper it looks like a game of chess. It looks like nobody wants to make the first commitment. Nobody wants to be able to throw the first blow. So I would want to see how it plays out in the first 15, 20 minutes. Hypothetically, if Ghana are set out on a counter attack, how quickly we are Kudus, the likes of the other guys in the midfield, Pate and all, Salis, how quickly they are in joining the attack. I think that this looks like a very tactical game, and it will be fascinating for the neutrals, because it's more like we want to see who sacrifices his queen first.
All right, but I think Otoado kept faith with a nucleus of his squad. Those are expected guys. We all knew they were going to line up against Portugal. But then, surprise element in this squad has to be Seydou Alidu. What exactly does he bring on board?
I think that he's looking
And
at
what probably
somebody.
may have informed
You see,
his selection?
when you are playing like we said, when Ghana is in transition, you need to be very quick, because the best you can do is that when you transition from defense to attack, you need to make sure that you push and you pin your opponent back to the point that you can create lots of overloads on the wings. And I have listen, all of us anticipated either he'll play an Odoi or what is it called, a Tariq. But if Salih Seidu is in, clearly in terms of what they tried on the training pitch, this guy is the perfect fit, because I look at him and he has space to bend. He's very strong. You need to be quick both in transition and when you have to transition to defend, because the last thing you want to do is give somebody like Zhao Felix to run at you, and you have lots of spaces behind it. You cannot, what is it called, track back to cover those spaces. So for me, I don't think there's issue with injuries. I do not think there's issue with somebody picking up a knock because we've not heard anything. Clearly, is how he wants the players to perform in the setup. And for me, I think we sat here when we previewed the game. We spoke about how he shouldn't be overly confident. He should be a bit cautious in his approach. I think that this is one of the cautious approaches. But what is at the back of Atuado's mind is not to win this game. You do not set up this way with a mindset to win, because clearly he's looking at being cautious at the back and in the middle. Worst case scenario, let's see how well we can pick those moments when we get the opportunity to go on the break. Because when you set up this way, Kofi, there is no way you are setting up to win. And I've watched Otuado in our game against Nigeria. In the first half, it was a 4-2-3-1. In the second half, he reverted to this formation and he kept the team very compact. It was a reason why we did not lose the game in the second half. So clearly, he's looking at moments where, should I go for the win? First game, no, let me go for a point. At least looking at the dynamics of the group, because if I risk it and I lose this game, I may have to, what is it called, crawl my way back into the next few games. So this setup clearly is a very defensive minded and an approach. You're looking at the best for Ghana will be a draw.
I think David, he's being smart in here because Uruguay had to draw, he had to share the spoils with South Korea. So what that means is that Ghana avoids defeat and the group still will remain open. So I think that's a brilliant setup by Coach Otoado. I don't know what you think.
Well, I think it played into his hands. I'm pretty sure the result. He may have decided his starting 11 long before the game ended, but that also may have influenced the final starting 11, because then you don't have to go gung ho, because Ghana play Korea next.
Yep.
All you need to do is hold your own against Portugal today. Make sure you don't lose, because if you lose, you have grounds to chase. But if you get a point, it leaves the group open. We all now have to slug it out. We all have to get the necessary results to be able to go over the line if you want to progress from this group. And for the Black Stars, it will be more like Kofi mentioned about how quick enough. And I think Ali Duseidu is in there because he provides that shield. He's one of the best tacklers in the Black Stars defense. He's very cautious. And you'd expect that a lot of the Portuguese attack will be coming through down the left-hand side. So you need someone to provide extra cover. And that's what Ali Dusedu brings to you. But Salih Samed in there is a revelation. You know, some 3 years ago, he had gone to Abidjan for trials. It didn't work out. He went for Clermont Foot. He was released from his contract. And he had an excellent season with RC Lens this year. And he's playing at the World Cup. Such a revelation, such a story. But it tells you how life can turn around quickly for you as a player. And today he owns the big stage.
All right, he owns the big stage, but Kofi, Cristiano Ronaldo obviously would be the main man. I am looking at beyond him, the cast around him could pose a threat to any of our backline. So I'm looking at how we are able to reduce those small spaces or even like the margins to bar them from actually going at us. So there's Bernardo Silva, there is Joao Felix, and there's the main man himself. I'm looking at how the backline are able to deal with the threat these guys pose to our backline.
Well, the truth of the matter is that if you look at the front five or front six of the Portuguese, they are guys who are all capable of scoring. They are all guys who are all capable of making goals. You understand? From Otavio to Ruben Neves to Bruno Fernandes to João Felix to Cristiano Ronaldo to Bernardo Silva. You look at the profile of these players. In case Ghana decides to keep it tight at the back, they have somebody who can crack shots from beyond the 18. Ruben Neves, I mean, this is the kind of player he is. And then Lucky consistently in all of our episodes has spoken about the fact that a player like Bernardo Silva is an expert when it comes to dealing with tight spaces. And so if the Ghanaians, one thing that the Ghana needs to do and do well is to keep concentration levels high at every point in this particular game. The moment we drop a level in concentration, these guys can hurt us. You understand? And so we need to keep our energy levels up. First of all, we need to keep the concentration levels up all throughout the game because we are talking about guys who are diverse in what they do. We are talking about guys who can be able to win games by their own. It's not this Portuguese team is not just about Cristiano Ronaldo. Bernardo Silva has proven on the biggest of stages that he can own a game, and Bruno Fernandes has shown on the biggest of stages that he can be able to be the match winner when the need be. We've seen the exploits of Ruben Neves with Wolves. You understand? A couple of times he scored some cracking goals. People have not paid attention to somebody like Octavio. Octavio has been one of the revelations for this Portuguese team this far. And so for me, I am not too surprised that he's in the team ahead of somebody like Leao, who we expected to be. But it also tells you that if this does not play out very well, like the Portuguese think it would, they more than have enough artillery in their camp to come back at the Black Stars. I think, Kofi Mensah, in this particular game, we are going to see a tweak after tweak of tactics all throughout the game because it's going to be a battle of tactical brains. It's about who is going to blink first. And for me, that is where we need to keep our concentrations level. Don't blink first. Keep your shape always, like he has said. I am happy we have gone with a compact approach, but keep the concentration levels up. A drop in concentration levels, and these world class players will punish us.
Okay, so according to Kofi, it's going to be a clash of the brains from the technical area. But just so you know, Portugal and Ghana's only previous encounter was in the group stages of the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Portugal won that game 2-1 with a Cristiano Ronaldo clincher. Portugal have won only 3 of their last 14 World Cup matches. They've drawn 6 and about to lose 5, each of them coming in the group stage of the competition. Their last victory in the knockout stage came in June 2006 when they progressed to the quarterfinals thanks to a 1-0 victory against the Netherlands. Portugal are winless in their last 3 opening games of a FIFA World Cup tournament. They've drawn 2 and they've had to lose 1 as well. Despite this, having progressed from the group stage in 2018, they could reach the knockout stage in 2 successive editions of the tournament for the second time after doing so as far back in 2006 and then in 2010. Ghana have also found the net in each of their last 5 World Cup games and could become the third African side to score in 6 succession in succession in the competition after South Africa between 1998 and in 2010, and Nigeria between 1994 and 1998. So Ghana has got a penchant of scoring at the World Cup. And it means that if they are to pick their chances very well, chances are that they could score against Portugal.
Yeah, if we are to pick our chances, but the saddest thing is that listen, we struggle for goals. I mean, aside our last game against Switzerland where we had to score two, we've been struggling for goals. So, and the way we set up, clearly there are very few goals in Ghana. I'm hoping that as the game wears on, we'll pick our moments. We'll
So
pick
we are
our,
just about
yes.
joining the field. What's your prediction for the first half?
I think that we'll lose
For the first half?
for the first half. We are
David,
losing the first half.
how's it going to end up in the first 45 minutes?
The Black Stars will win the first half by 2-0.
Coffee?
Portugal over 1.5.
What's that supposed to mean?
Meaning you score more than
Minimum 2 goals.
Yeah.
All right, so you stick with us here on Sports 101 right here from the Red Mango Apartment and Hotel. We are just about joining the field. One, the first half is done. We're going to come back here to assess how things are to pan out from the first 45 minutes.